Well, here we are again. Hi, how are you? My name is Poochie Hill. I am the host of Deadline, and I'm here with Mr. Mike Kinney, who has been serving our community and the state of New Jersey in all media facets since 1982. What's going on, big guy?
Hey, Pooch, it's glad to be here, man. Always good to see you.
Well, I'm going to throw you off, and I want you to let it be known right now who is doing well in lacrosse, because he's covering lacrosse right now.
Well, Del Barton is my number one team right now, and Seton Hall is the number two team. Mountain Lakes is an excellent team. Summit is always good. Westfield is always good. Don Bosco Prep. You know, a lot of the teams that you know from football have become lacrosse powers, but a lot of the public schools are still powerhouses in lacrosse, like Mountain Lakes, like Summit, like Westfield. Ramapo is a very good program. There's a lot of good programs. Most of the powerhouse programs, Montclair used to be one. They're kind of getting back. They lost their traction a little bit. But Caldwell is a growing program. West Essex is a growing program. There's a lot of up and coming programs among the public schools, and it's a great sport. And I want to see it developed in Newark, and it's becoming. There's a Newark Lacrosse Club now, which a lot of the other lacrosse programs, there's a lot of really great guys in lacrosse around the state who are trying to help out now. It's something that Eastside has always had well, not always, but Eastside's had a lacrosse program for quite a long time, but it's never really caught on within the city of Newark. Mostly it's just Eastside kids who play, even though it's been open to kids, to other public school kids, because that's the only program in the city. It's just something a lot of the kids in Newark don't know about.
Has it been considered a club down there at Eastside?
It's a high school team. They play high school games. They're not good. They never have any depth, and you can imagine the kids at Eastside aren't picking the sport up till they're in high school. And that's difficult because you're playing against teams, even not the great team. They don't play among the best teams, against the best teams in New Jersey, because the best kids in New Jersey start when they're in second grade, third grade, just like Pop Warner football, just like Little League baseball. It's a sport that, you know, it's developed at a young age, the skill package. The Eastside kids aren't really picking it up till high school.
What about the girls?
The girls even slower coming on. So as far as around here, but the girls around the state, there's some very good girls lacrosse programs around the state as well. I don't cover the girls though, but there's some excellent programs there too. The boys I've done since the '80s.
How is it, because Jim Brown was a lacrosse player?
Yes, he was.
Can you explain for our audience the parables that you obtain from playing football, not only with eye and hand coordination, but also the fact that you're running, you're stopping, you're turning, you're passing? Explain some of those nuances.
Those elements for sure. Well, you look at a lacrosse field. A lacrosse field is 120 yards long. So it picks up a lot of different sports within that game. It looks like it's hockey on field because there's goals with goalies and there's room behind the goal to play, just like there is in hockey. So there's some similarities to hockey there, and a lot of people, if they don't know lacrosse, will look at it and say, wow, that must be like hockey. Spatially, the field itself would remind you of soccer. Or football because of the length of the field. So that would remind you of those two sports. However, what it's most like is basketball. In lacrosse, there's 10 guys on the field. There's goalies, and then there's 9 other guys. There's 3 who can't cross into one side each time. There's 6 guys at one time playing against 6 other guys. They're playing offense, trying to score against the goalie. And the way the offenses are set up, the way the defensive schemes are set up, to get through screens, to cover, to be weak side help, it's more like basketball. It's played more like basketball. Once it's settled down and you're playing 6-on-6, it's like 5-on-5 basketball, just with an extra guy, and guys have sticks in their hands. So there's that element just a little strange to that. But guys who play basketball pick up that sport pretty quickly because they understand that's how it's played. Right?
Does it help them in the basketball perspective?
Does lacrosse help basketball?
Yes.
What it helps is there's certainly a toughness and a physicality to lacrosse,
Yeah,
which will help you with basketball, but directly no. Basketball is going to help lacrosse for sure because of the quickness and the speed that you play the game. That's going to help you. That's going to translate into your lacrosse. Football is going to translate into your lacrosse, and lacrosse is going to translate to football too, because of the agility of lacrosse that you're going to use on the football field.
Do they have collisions?
They do.
Oh,
They
really?
do. Not as much as they used to. There used to be a lot of, but yes, there's collisions all the time. Absolutely.
Really?
There's checking that's legal, and of course you're carrying sticks around, so guys get whacked with sticks sometimes, quite a lot. So there's definitely a physical aspect, and the game is fast. They call
Really?
they call it the fastest game on feet because the ball travels over 100 miles an hour.
Almost as quick as baseball.
It's on a consistent level. It's quicker than baseball because the ball is moving all the time.
Okay. Well, let me put this out there for you. He's a Cougar from Keene University.
Mm-hmm.
I had to throw that in there. And
Proud Cane alum.
well, that college itself is, if you ask me, and from what I've seen and read, it's really setting the bar for this millennium. It really, really is setting the bar.
You go down Morris Avenue in Union. That's Cane's everywhere, man. It's on
Yes.
both sides. You see the name everywhere. We have there's other campuses within the state, and even in China, there's a Cane campus.
Really?
Believe it or not. But you've seen the facilities, and Phil Simms was here with you. This guy's bringing in all the big guys. You must be, your list must have run out with me, because I saw Phil Simms here. I saw Roger Leone here a couple weeks ago. You're bringing in everybody, all the big hitters, man. And then, like you say, well, Mike Kinney must. Oh, yeah. Okay, we have nobody else. Mike Kinney will be here.
That's not
Thank
true.
you. No, but Kane, you've seen the facilities there. The Phil Simms game,
Yes.
the Phil Simms game is there, and they have all kinds of high school events at Kane going on at the basketball court, at the football field. It is a beautiful athletic facility, unparalleled at the Division III level.
Let me say this here. That that university now is one of the forerunners in dealing with the urban and suburban.
It always was.
I mean,
It always was.
It's
That's why I love it. That's why I love it. Because when I went to Kane, I felt like I was home. When I went to Kane, there were people like me at Kane. You
don't have
It's
nostalgia. That's the word I would use.
Well,
it's very welcoming.
It is welcoming. And here's the thing about Kane. When I started, Kane was a school, and a lot of the people from upper crust or the big time universities would laugh at Kane because Kane's acceptance rate was always a little more forgiving. They forgave us guys who weren't the greatest scholars in high school, and we were able to get entrance in there. And there are a lot of first time college students still at Kane, and there were then. Nobody in my family had ever graduated from college when I went to Kane.
Really?
Nobody. And I was the first in my family to graduate from college, and first generation college people. That's what Kane embraced. Kane embraced inner city kids.
It was not Newark State College. When
It was no. It was Kane College.
Do you think they? Well,
It was Kane College. It was Newark State before my time. It was Kane College, but it wasn't Kane College for a long time. I started in the fall of '77 at Kane, and there were still mats at some of the buildings at Kane that said NSC mats. They hadn't quite gotten around to KC all over the place.
Do you think, Mike, that, and this is just a question, because Newark is such a colorful and prominent northeastern city on the eastern seaboard, that might have hurt it then, or was that because of economical reasons? Who knows? But the name itself.
Hurt Kane? You mean while it was Newark State?
Yes.
No, I don't at all. I think what happened was the Kane family had all that land up there.
Oh.
And they gave that. It's Kane University because the Kane family gave Kane.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
There's still the Kane Estate is still across Morris Avenue there on the campus itself, on what is now the East Campus. It's still there.
Appropriate for
and
them
they
to
gave
have
the university lots of money and lots of land to build there, to move from Newark, because it was in
Where
one
was it?
building.
By
It
the
was in one.
Manpower
It was like off Broad. It was like off Broad. Yeah.
By the old
It was one
Manpower,
building,
yeah.
and it was a teachers' college. It began as Newark Normal School,
Okay.
and then it was Newark Teachers College, and then Newark State College, and then became Kane. Yeah.
Well, we just spoke on something that's very important, and that is the fact that coming out of the Union public school system, the Newark public school system, and I would even say Hudson, Keene University is a welcoming blessing for them. And as you stated, for so long, at least 40 years, it has always had some type of compassion to help those that try to embellish themselves to a higher hiatus with their education.
Yeah.
From a tuition perspective, from a social dynamic, and also the caring of the teachers there.
Yes.
Now I'm going
Yes.
to go from that there to, how did you get into being a reporter? Because you have the greatest shorthand of notes I've ever seen over 30 years, and that has to be your own, or did you learn that somewhere in journalism?
I learned it. It's my own style, which I learned through the years. I picked up, different ways to take notes through the years. I never learned shorthand. No, my mother knew shorthand. My mother was a secretary, and she was the executive secretary for the East Orange Fire Department for a long time.
Really?
Yes, and she would go to all the meetings, all the board meetings, and of course, being the great secretary she was, she knew how to do shorthand, so she could sit in the meeting and do that. So I knew she did that, and I was always very impressed with that, but I could never learn shorthand itself. So I developed my own style of shorthand. So if someone saw one of my books from a game, you'd have no idea what I was saying. However, I could go back to a book 30 years ago and write that game again from the notes that I took. So yeah, I keep copious notes within a game, and because that's the story I want to tell. I don't want it to just be a game result ever. I want it to be, something that's meaningful to the people who were involved in that game. Something that the kids will look back on and say, "Wow, Mike Kinney cared about me."
But you are a product of this facility. How's about giving a little bit of your baseball and things of that nature there? How you got from being an athlete, because a lot of people don't know that, an athlete into the sports, being that we all get older, so you still want to give back, and that is one of your ways of giving back, like you said, hieroglyphically, by painting a picture through your writing.
Well, I tell you what, as a kid, I had two ambitions, and I had them early. My first ambition was always to be, playing for the New York Yankees. That was the first ambition as a 5-year-old. When I was playing at the boys club, when I was playing baseball at the boys club on Broad Street in Newark. That's how I got. That's my baseball start, playing for the Senators at the boys club on Broad. I always loved baseball. Both my grandfathers were very good baseball players, not at a professional level or anything like that, but they were both very good baseball players, and they taught me the game. My dad was not much of an athlete. My dad worked as a young guy when he was in the Navy. He worked as a young guy, and he didn't really catch on to sports the way his dad did. My dad's grandfather was a very good baseball player. My mom's father was an exceptional baseball player, and he played in the service.
That's deep competition. A lot of people don't know. There's a lot of competition in those inner service competitions.
Yep. So they taught me the game basically, especially my mom's grandfather, because he lived across the street from me in Newark. I lived on Delavan Avenue in Newark. That's where I grew up initially.
Okay.
Loved baseball. So I was going to be playing for the Yankees. Well, I found out pretty early in my high school career, freshman, sophomore year, you weren't playing for the Yankees, son. You are not good enough in baseball. I was a good defensive player. I had a good glove. I had a good arm, but I was an okay hitter, and never had really great speed. So I was a good baseball player, not a great baseball player. However, I always loved, from the time I was in grammar school, I don't ever remember not loving how to write.